Good evening, everyone. Matthew Timpanic here on behalf of Timpanic Law with your Live at 5. Let's first discuss the elephant in the room. As of right now, my account is still hacked by whomever. Very suspect timing that we're in the defense's case, but we deal in facts on this channel. So, talking with X, and the expectation is I should get it back in the next few days because the individual is posting um, pornography on it, and that's just not going to be tolerated. I started my account, and I spent years working on it. That's not what we're about. We're about discussing facts, evidence, sports law, um, but it is not about posting pornography on it. So that individual will be dealt with at a later time. So let's discuss the Karen Reed case and what we had, because yesterday we didn't have a stream, didn't have a live show, so we want to talk about what has transpired since then. We had Kelly Dever, and that was theatrics for lack of a better word. I just appeared on the Law and Crime Karen podcast. They've been asked me to do that every like week or so with updates on it to be able to get the insight on it, because and one thing I said a few weeks ago is you can't call a witness solely to impeach them. And think about what Alan Jackson did. He called Kelly Dever basically just to impeach her. And there were objections galore, and the judge interjects. And it's pretty clear that what he was doing was not what he should have been doing. And it made him look like an asshole, for lack of a better term. But the whole point with him was he's willing to sacrifice himself right now so that Kelly Dever looks like she has something to hide, looks like she's covering for the chief who is now deceased, and Brian Higgins, that her testimony changed. Because and I explained this on the podcast. He didn't really have that kind of moment in the first in this trial. He did in the first trial with Michael Proctor, with the inverted Sally Port videos and this, that, and the other thing. But he didn't really get that in this case. There was no jaw-dropping moment where he got to cross somebody. So he wanted to. What he was doing is trying to tell a story. The story was, all right, let's try to see if the conspiracy has any backing to it. So let's talk about how I talked to the chief, and then my testimony changes, this, that, and the other thing. When in reality, she made statement, oh, he was there for an excessively long time, even though Miss Dever, Officer Dever, wasn't even there and couldn't even testify. So it was basically misinformation, trying to pull a fast one on the jury. And it just didn't play. The hope was is to get one jury thinking about the conspiracy is real, because you add that to Dr. Russell's testimony. The problem with Dr. Russell was, from the defense perspective, she's not. People don't call upon her to discuss dog bites. She reached out to someone at the DA's office who knows Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson, as we know from the documentary, states when the first time he saw the picture of Officer O'Keefe's arm, he's like, he wasn't hit by a car. And this lady just confirms what he thought. It was confirmation bias at its simplest. That Dr. Russell told Alan Jackson what he wanted to hear, and then she testified. And the jury hearing about how Attorney Alassi helped with his testimony, the fact that she showed up in a limo and everything. The jury isn't going to care that they paid for her meals or like put up their housing. That's kind of standard with experts, but like driving around in a limo, discussing your testimony, and violating the sequestration order. That was probably the biggest thing, that it's like, a sequestration order. That's your job as the attorney to explain to your witnesses they can't discuss the case, and you can't talk to the witness while they're still on the stand. That you just can't do that. You can talk about their testimony before or after, but you can't talk about it while they're still on the stand. And that's something Attorney Alassi, a mistake he made because of the fact he's not really a trial attorney. He's just not. He's a corporate attorney, but a trial attorney knows, like, you're on the stand, we can't talk. That's how it works. That's how sequestration works in this case. So it's like, oh, it's from an animal attack. It's like, all right, And Hank Brennan clears it up. There are no puncture wounds for teeth. There's no dog DNA on it. There's only pig DNA. And when you're trying to do that, it's like, all right, how do you get an animal attack? Did the dog just didn't put his teeth on them? Because those wounds would have deep wounds if they were in fact punctures from a dog biting them. And that's a fact that's very important. And then it just appears that this individual is just telling Alan Jackson what he wants to hear. In addition, the witness is using this case for publicity. It's like, oh, well, I didn't want to be a part of this case. Yet you reached out to the attorney to say that I have information I could help in this case. Doesn't really sound like somebody who doesn't want to have anything to do with this case. So it was just a ridiculous argument, and I just don't know if I don't know if anybody was believing that. I don't. Um, and then it brings us to Officer Barrows. Doesn't the jury have to wonder where this dog junk is coming from? Yeah, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get they want the Commonwealth's case to be riddled with more questions than answered. So the more questions they can throw at it, it's like, well, what about this? What about that? One of them, because a jury, if you're an attorney, you just don't know what's going to be reasonable doubt. You don't know what a jury's going to find persuasive, what they're going to find not persuasive, who they're going to find credible. You just don't. You can think it, but you don't actually know. So when you think about what needs to be done on this case, the witnesses need to come off as somebody that's like, okay, what they're talking about is in fact. It's not just some theory. I'm wondering what the jury thinks of the defense. Witness saying they were threatened. An expert had the defense write the report, and the cop who changed. Yeah, that was Officer Sergeant Barrows driving to Alan Jackson's hotel in Boston from Dighton or whatever surrounding area he lived in. That is really, really suspect. When you're looking at that, you're like, you could have talked about this on a phone. Why did you drive there? Why did you drive to his hotel? That shows real, like, a sense of, okay, I think this individual might not be as impartial as one thinks, because that testimony changed from last year. That was not what he was saying. And people, like, you look on some of the bloggers, and it's killing me not having my Twitter account and somebody posting pornography on my account, because the individuals, like, you're seeing, it's like, it's over. It's over. The Commonwealth can't recover. Some of the attorneys, and it's just like the content creators, it's like, do they not understand that this testimony is diametrically different than what it was last year? And the memory doesn't get better as time goes on. And trying to make that argument, it's just not going to fly with the jury. Yeah, and Attorney Alassi definitely screwed up the whole Dr. Russell and helping her write a sentence structure. It's like, that's not what happened, and we both know that. And Hank Brennan has been around the block. It's like, oh, ask for a report. And it just shows that even after on testimony, Attorney Alassi is violating the sequestration order. Why would you do that? Unless you know they're not doing what they're supposed to. By doing so, the jury's seeing it's like, all right, this is kind of like a makeshift defense. This is they made a lot of promises, but not enough concrete facts to back it up. So that brings us to today with this case. We had, of course, Lucky Loeffner talking about how, oh, yeah, I didn't see a body in front of 34 Fairview. Okay. You didn't see that, but let's see what we could see outside of your vehicle. And you can't see anything. You couldn't even see the road, much less the front porch. And his testimony's changed so many different times. And the fact that he was being threatened by Aiden Kearney, and he says, oh, it was aggravating. And it's like, is this witness like legit compromised? Like, their testimony's changed. So that whole thing, the jury's probably going to dismiss what Lucky Loeffner has to say, because it's pretty clear he's compromised and his story's changed so many times. It might as well be the winds of winter. So I don't see it being very persuasive what he has to say. So then it ends with the weirdest witness to date. Karina, I can't pronounce her last name. And she was there and like, oh, Karen was there. So I wanted to stay. I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? Oh, well, I'm a pharmacist and she didn't look that drunk. I was like, okay, this cuts. So this is what I wanted to say today on Twitter. That cuts both ways. The fact that she didn't, he isn't, the fact that she doesn't look drunk doesn't necessarily help the defense because it's pretty well established that the defendant was intoxicated. Her own words, anybody looking at it and watching the surveillance video, like, okay, yeah, she's drunk. That's not really in dispute. So why are you doing that? But the reason why it cuts both ways because it's like if this pharmacist said she didn't look intoxicated, that's how good her tolerance was and how good she is hiding it. So when you think about one of the mitigations is she was too drunk to even know that she was backing up into him. She was like blackout. But if she had her normal faculties, the act of backing up that car, she had to do so with intent. She had to do so knowingly. And that actually might help the Commonwealth make a murder two conviction. The blogger would, yeah. That was one of the most stunning things to me because I was like, this person's on the witness list, get him out of the courtroom. And then he's sitting there and talking, and I'm like, what? This guy is like doing witness intimidation on his computer while in the courtroom. Like, what is he doing there? And so a part of me thinks that the whole testimony was to get the defense to call Aiden Kearney to rebut that. That would be, I think it's a trap move because then they get to come into everything. He takes the fifth, and then he gets to talk about the connection with Karen Read, which the defense doesn't want. But I think it was kind of a Hail Mary play. I can't see the defense calling Aiden Kearney. It would just sink them. She was drinking weak pours. Exactly. Facts win cases. You think all the witnesses getting blackmailed, and you think, well, jury will think that. I think that hearing Kelly Dover say that Alan Jackson threatened her with perjury was a really, really bad moment for the defense because it shows real shadiness and what they're actually trying to do. And when they're trying to pull this fast one, and when Arca takes the stand, and their results are like the meme from It's Always Sunny, where Charlie's like has a whiteboard and he's trying to figure out, and it just doesn't make any sense. That's the risk that they run with this defense, that it looks so desperate, and it looks as like, okay, she did this, right? That you guys are doing your best and you're doing a commendable job, but she did this, right? Do you think it showed desperation when Elasia made the argument? A mistrial with prejudice. So it's like, no, it's not going. That was he was just, and you look at the content creators like, oh, I'm so proud of Attorney Elasia. I was like, this was never getting granted. This is not a grounds for a mistrial. She didn't even exclude. She didn't even give an instruction. It goes to credibility because she knows that there wasn't any dog DNA on the arm in the first trial. It goes directly to her findings. So the fact that it wasn't admitted into evidence, there's no improper impeachment when the witness already knows. Already, Aiden has already taken the fifth in his case. This case, yes, and him trying to spin on social media that he should be called to rebut that he threatened Lucky Loeffner. It's like, do you want to get convicted on your cases before you go to trial? Please have at it. Take the stand. Do you think Alan Jackson has gotten too personally involved with Karen? We are seeing pictures of them. What I believe is I don't get into the weeds. I don't get into gossip. I don't know what's real, what's fake. So I'm just not going to get into it. I think Alan Jackson, I commend him for coming back on the first case because he could have easily wrote off the mistrial as a win. But coming back, I don't think he has been as impressive as he was in the first case, not by a long shot. And that's because Hank Brennan is beyond him in skills, and the facts and evidence don't really aren't in his favor. They're ruined, yeah, blowing things up. Yeah, it's. I bet most jurors forgot about these text. That's the whole problem with that witness when it was only like an hour and they called the friend to read it, and it was just weird. It's like I don't want to say these things. It's like I didn't do this. I didn't say this. Like I may be in the group chat, but I don't agree with this. It was so weird, and the jury they did it so fast that they're like, "What did you want me to? What did you want me to take away from this?" And you go into Dr. Russell talking about the animal attack. It just looks so desperate. Um, I think, yeah, I think Adam Hell. I think it's fair to say Adam Lally was in over his head. I've said he did a commendable job, but there were just too many things. That case was he presented half a case, and thankfully for the taillight and the clothing, that's what saved him. The defendant, the defense's biggest mistake was not getting an acquittal in the first case. It was there for the taking. There wasn't the accident reconstruction was awful. There was no digital forensic data. It was just the DNA, the hair, and the taillight and the admissions. That was the case. So it just when you're thinking about it, um, it is like a situation where um, I don't think I think he did a commendable job, but he was just overmatched, and that's understandable. Do you think Brennan will actually bring in the harassment? I'm I think that with Lucky Loeffner, I think he was trying to bait the defense into doing that because if they do, Jennifer McCabe can be called in rebuttal to potentially if they haven't excused her. I don't know if they've excused her. Talk about the wit and the intimidation she's received and the harassment, all the other witnesses, and then that goes to consciousness of guilt. It's like, why would the defendant be coordinating with Aiden Kearney to harass all of these people? Why? Unless she's trying to gaslight them. So in the end, there's only one real conspiracy that has ever really existed, in my opinion. It was the defendant who's charged with murder conspires with a blogger to try to gaslight the entire world into thinking 40 people committed the crime that she allegedly did and most likely did based on the evidence. Matt, do you think Yannetti or Jackson will face any possible sanctions? That's an interesting thing. I think, based on what happens with the verdict, I think there's going to be sanctions because the judge, there was clear violation. The judge can't be in the business of just letting that go. I find it astonishing how Hank just knows everything. Yeah, that's why he was brought in. You needed somebody who could match Alan Jackson and exceed him because he is. He is a great attorney. The problem is that the facts are not on his side, and he's not picking his spots. He's not getting the Michael Proctors to cross. He doesn't get the Brian Hillings, the Brian Albert. He didn't get that. Hank Brennan took that all away from him. He's like, you guys can call him if you want, knowing that Alan Jackson tried to direct one witness, and he face planted so bad that he got benched in favor of David Yannetti, who is not Hank Brennan, not even in the same category. He's like a C compared to Hank Brennan and Alan Jackson. I wonder if the jury's catching on to how dirty the defense is. Yeah, the fact that he was being harassed and then he testified and then all the harassment ended. It shows that I think a jury's going to see it as he was compromised. Today we tried to push that Higgins was jail. Oh my God. That was when David Yannetti tried to do that. It was like, oh, look at this. And he's motioning at someone. It's like, really? It's like, we're back to this conspiracy nonsense again. It's like, it just doesn't like go to the collision. Don't call somebody who's a witness who's saying, I've never seen a boyfriend kiss her girlfriend on the forehead. That was the weirdest moment of this entire case. I was like, oh, this lady's nice. And then she says that, and everybody is like, what are you talking about? You've never seen that? And it's like, and you have a husband and he's never kissed you on the forehead in public? Jesus. Matt, why do you think Jackson has stepped back so much this trial? Because his style doesn't really, it doesn't jive. When he doesn't get to rip Michael Proctor or Brian Higgins, he really can't do like directs and cross examinations, as we saw when he tried to direct Kelly Dever. It was a shit show. It was just all over the place. It was, she's accusing him, and then it comes out that he was threatening her. And it was like, this was a colossal mistake. Do you think the judge will deal in the grant the so what is it, the in favor of the defense for the jury instruction for missing witnesses? No. And the reason is the instruction is pretty clear. And if the witnesses are unavailable, they're not unavailable. The defense can call them at any time. They are available, they are close by. They're choosing not to call them. You don't get to not call them and be like, I want the missing witness instruction because the Commonwealth didn't call them. Like, you could have called them. You don't get it. You only get that instruction if they are lost and they cannot be found. We know exactly where they are. So I don't think I don't think the defense can use that instruction as both a sword and a shield. It was like a comic reboot. I see dog bites. Oh my God. It's like, I see dog bites. And it's like, okay, you're obsessed with dog bites. Yet wouldn't there be a puncture wound? Yeah. Teeth marks? Yeah. DNA? Yeah. Was any of that there? No. And you're just doing this based on a photograph. Okay. Got it. Do you think the judge will rule in favor of the defense for the new opinions from the phone expert? I don't. I think the defense, like, they tried to get their other witnesses. I think that was denied. Their expert to be able to testify. I think that was denied. Um, has the judge ruled on the Commonwealth motion? Yes. To ban the expert. Yeah. The judge granted it. So, testifying on the new report he just submitted. I don't know about that one. I know that she denied the defense's request to allow their witness to testify. This is perhaps the most clearest, most simplest case ever. It's horrifying to see. Not thousands of people. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people have fallen for this gaslighting. I was, I've been out in public, and I don't know, I was talking to my doctor. I was getting my, I was in for a regular checkup. And she says to me, "He's like, have you, like, you're an attorney, like, have you heard about the Karen Reed case?" And I was like, am I being punked? She had no idea that I had been commenting on this case for as long as I had. And it's just like the people out there, and I even I have family members who believe the conspiracy, and it's just because people um we're in an environment since the last 10 years where people don't believe anything that they see. Everything's a conspiracy. Everything is, if somebody says something, that means it's true if I believe it is. It's all confirmation bias. I'm amazed at all the professionals. Profession Dr. Russell is an expert. Yeah. She was like listing it off, and it was like nobody is asking you to do any of this. So I just don't see people believing. Um, yeah, I don't see people believing Dr. Russell. If they did, you can't do anything about it. Um, yeah, even lawyers. It is. I like having my account hacked and be on the sidelines seeing some of these lawyers like outright lie is just ridiculous. And a lot of them, especially the content creator ones who are like, they're pandering. They'll like, oh, that was really great. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give the Commonwealth props. They were terrible. They were terrible. The game's over. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll come back now. And it's like, do you like want to speak the truth? And it's like, well, you know what it is. You're just choosing not to do it. And that's just never what we're going to be about. And it is like, because what are people going to be doing like in the next trial? Is Brian Koppenberger also framed? Like, come on. Like, really? Will Aiden Kearney's trial be streamed? Yes. Do you know when it starts? I don't. Can the Commonwealth motion for a longer closing? Maybe, perhaps. I think Hank Brennan has been on the side of being very concise. So an hour might be all that he needs, but he could certainly get more. Do you think, yes. Do you think Hank will bring in that dog expert they got? Yes. They are absolutely going to bring in Dr. Crosby because I know Dr. Crosby. He is exceptional at what he does and his knowledge, and he's going to be able to explain exactly why the mold of Chloe the dog does not match the teeth marks. And he's just going to limit, he's going to completely neutralize what Dr. Russell said because all of the defense witnesses, with the exception of the weird never kiss somebody on the forehead boyfriend witness, all of them were looking for their 15 minutes of fame or they're trying not to be, they were under duress. So it is like a situation where they are just going to be talking about Dr. Crosby, and it's like Dr. Russell is just full of it. She is looking for 15 minutes of fame. She's trying to market it. Understandably, don't hate the grind, but you're not called on to be an expert. It's not like Dr. Wolf, where it's just like, yeah, I went, and what she was saying, like for somebody, she was kind of full of herself. Like Dr. Wolf, who had went to like Yale undergrad medical school, barely even knew, and Dr. Welcher with all his was much more humble. This witness was not really there. It was a friend. Yeah. The whole trial should be watching Karen's idiot clip. She can't keep her mouth shut. At the end of the day, and I said this on Twitter a while ago, like last week. You always want to end on your best witness. I thought it would be the accident reconstructionist. I was wrong. It was the defendant herself with her clips. And every time she speaks, she puts herself in the area. She shows how intoxicated she was. She was stupid enough to tell the documentary person what David Yannetti told her. That is absolutely privileged, but she holds the privilege. And by disclosing that to a producer, she has waived that privilege. And the jury's like, her own lawyer just said she did something wrong. So, Matt, I'm so glad you're covering this case. So refreshing to have a sane voice in the internet home. Yeah, I very much appreciate. I really appreciate that. It has been. So, what I can tell you about this was the hacking was the last line of many of things that has happened in this case. I don't know if they're connected. I think it's suspect that when the defense puts on their case, somebody hacks my Twitter account and puts porn on there. That's kind of suspect timing. In addition, for this case, people prank phone called my office. People tried to dox, but thankfully, my addresses are under 3 layers of security. Somebody left a fake Google review about a case I've never done. Oh yeah, and then just if you want a good laugh, go into my mentions one day and just look at some of the people that actually just commented. Like the only good troll I've ever gotten was strip mall lawyer. That's it. All the rest usually are just really lazy stuff by faceless and nameless accounts, and that Henry Blue that I had to block because I secretly think it's Karen Reed, and it's just not worth my time. Is it normal for a judge to allow attorneys to grandstand? Attorney Lassie has watched too much Perry Mason. It's like, come on. Like, I know you're doing this in a passionate defense, but it's not working. You're not going to win this motion. Turtle Boy had brought you up on his show last week. Oh, really? Please provide the context with that. I'd love to hear what he said, because he said some hilarious things to me over the months, the last year or so. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I appreciate it, but we're not going to be scared off. We're going to be here. We're going to be on Facebook. I'll be with a megaphone out on the front steps, speaking the truth and talking about the facts and evidence. They're not going to silence me. The intimidation, it's not going to work. The trying to cut off my means of communication, it's not going to work. So No, I appreciate, yeah, scary Lassie's scary Mason. It is. It's really awkward watching Attorney Lassie not understand how trials work, and not everything is law and order. And you're not always going to be able to break somebody in 2.5 minutes on the stand. Um, Thoughts on Judge Cannone allowing all the parade? Oh my God. I hate. All right. So some of you know this. I've been commenting on trials since, I want to say, Abed Arbery might have been one of my first trials. Right after the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I started appearing on Law and Crime. And the Curtis Reeves case, I'll never forget it because it was in Florida, was that um, this case, you couldn't go 5 minutes without a sidebar. And ever since then, I've never liked sidebars because it's like objection overruled. That's what it is. You don't need to go up and theatrically for the jury be like, let me argue some more. It's not going to change anything. But let me like get my make it look like I'm really duking it out with the judge. It's just ridiculous. Stop. And doing that, you're just, especially, and as you can see, Alan Jackson's doing it when only Hank Brennan is the one who's asking the questions. It's probably 80-90%, 80-90 split. So it is. I hate sidebars. I've maybe done 10 I've done over 40 trials. I've done maybe 10 sidebars because I don't need to waste my time. Karen probably thought John partied more at the Albert's house and went to Bella's home or some other woman. That's kind of what I felt with the drunken phone, like the voicemails, is that that she legitimately thought he was seeing another woman. That's kind of what I felt. Yeah. Thank you for keeping your integrity. Thank you so much. Let's just schedule me. What are the odds that one of the Free Karen Reese supporter? Oh my God. I was just asked that question by Law and Crime. I pray one of those people didn't get on there because it's just going to be a mistrial. They're never going to convict. They could have a video of the incident happening. They could have 25 independent witnesses and they could have a signed confession. And they'd say the video is a deep fake. All the witnesses are compromised and part of the conspiracy. And this confession was coerced. What are the odds that one of the Free Karen? Yeah, I already answered that. He posted your Twitter. Awesome. And made TB comments about you. He's also going after Judge Jack Luke. I've been Turtle Boy's been coming after me for over a year. He's a loser and a half, and I don't need to waste my time with him whatsoever. He's entitled to his First Amendment rights. I think he's a disgusting human being with the allegation of witness intimidation, all that she's done. But I think his time will come soon enough in trial. As he posted, he's like, "Oh, juries are scary. It's like they could literally hear all the evidence and nothing we do matters." It's like, duh. Court trials are run in courtrooms. They're not one on the internet. They're not one in chat rooms. They're one with facts and evidence. And maybe, just maybe, you're just starting to realize it. Why does judge practice in the manner in their courtroom? What manner in that courtroom? I think Judge Cannone is just over this trial and she's doing everything she can to not allow for an appeal. Is it normal to defendants go to sidebars? No, but there's no record. So a witness has the absolute right to be part of every part of the trial. Sidebars are part of the trial, and they don't have the communication they did in the first trial where it was like the defendant could hear it on her earphones. So she has to go up every time that she wants. And she has to, because otherwise, if she's sitting there and the camera's just going to be sitting there and the jury's just going to get free shots at her looking at her. Do you watch or see any of the other lawyers on YouTube? I can't. I think close by. Well, one of them does like 2-3 hour shows, and I'm like, I got other things to do. I have a 15-month-old daughter. I have a wife. I have better things to do than stream for 3 hours and talk nonsense. But to each his own. Why the hell is TB allowed in court? He's a journalist. It's the weirdest thing. If I were the judge, I'd be like, "You're a witness in the case. Get the hell out of here." If Karen is convicted, could she get a deal for some time off? She helped testify. They don't need Karen to convict Aiden. And if they convict her, Karen Reed, they're just going to send her for away as for a long time. How confident are you at this point Karen will be convicted? Um, so this is what trials are all about. You need to understand that it's never going to be 100% certainty. Anybody who says to you they know how a verdict is going to go down, they don't, because you don't know what a jury is going to do. Every trial lawyer has won cases they thought they were going to lose, and they lost cases they thought they were going to win. That goes with the territory. But I probably say about 80, 85% of a conviction, and that's more for manslaughter. I think they might hang on murder just because, unless the defendant takes the stand. Um, how many, if convicted OUI manslaughter? I'm guessing 10 to 15 years. It'll all depend. If the judge actually thinks it's murder, the judge may just max her out and give her 20. To in the Yeah, I'm not going to say that content creator attorney's name is close by. I I tried to give that individual the benefit of the doubt, but it's just constant misinformation and doing stuff to get clicks and cash. And it is, um, I understand it. I just don't agree with it. Yes. Huh, is made as good as mud. Yeah. But they split the baby. That's kind of what I feel. I think that unless she takes the stand, they see who she really is and they catch her in 52 lies. I don't know if I see a murder conviction. It should be. There's enough evidence, but I don't know if the jury gets there. Can we go over the sentencing guidelines? Sure. For the charges she's facing, second degree murder in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, mandatory life with the possibility of parole. And the way the Commonwealth of Massachusetts works is a life sentence is viewed as 30 years. So you're eligible for parole after 15 years. OUI manslaughter is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. And then I think that the other one was 5 to 10 years. I don't know off the top of my head. Do you think she may take the stand? If she takes the stand, she might as well get on the next bus to Framingham Women's Prison. It's just like, it's not even, do you need to wait for the verdict? No, I know. Just let me know if I'm doing life or 15 years. So she's not going to take the stand. How long would she serve on OUI manslaughter? If she got 10 to 15, she'd probably serve 10. Um, I think that if the judge did, I think she'd give right around 10 years, give or take 5. So it might be 5 years, but it could be 15. But if the judge thinks it's murder, she'll max them out. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction of these smug law. Yeah, they're just going to say it doesn't matter. Hey, Judge Canoni, there's so much reversible error. We're on to the appeal. In pure Massachusetts fashion, we're on to the appeal. We're on to the Supreme Court. We're on to the Hague. They just don't even, if she's convicted, don't even try to engage with those people. They're never going to. If she gets acquitted, it's like, yes, we all knew it. But if she gets convicted, they're going to be like, kangaroo court, fake news, this, that, and the other thing. TV is out on appeal. That's well, as Mr. Kearney is going to know more about our legal system, people convicted of murder or manslaughter are not going to be allowed on bond. The judge will remand her in a second. Hope everything gets sorted out. Thank you. The hope is in the next few days it should get sorted out. Have you been able to sort out your ex? I'm working with X to figure that out, so it should be in the next couple days. All right, that he doesn't want to see her in prison because she's a productive citizen with health. Yeah, if she's convicted, Judge Canoni is not going to be like, well, defendant has MS, so I'm just going to give her house arrest. Somebody died, and she tried to gaslight everybody, and like the judge is not going to forget how she acted in the first trial and how she acted in this case, and all the things that she do to actually to try to basically gaslight the people into thinking she didn't do this. She's not going to be. Will KR be out on bond if convicted? No. She'll be remanded. I think that's all I'm going to do for today, but have an amazing day, and hopefully I'll be talking to you all again real soon. Thank you.